Welcome to World Update on the Persecuted Church with Release International. In this edition,
I crossed the border with 4 people from the village. It was snowing and we got lost. 2 Chinese men appeared in front of us holding knives. They tied us with ropes and took us to the cave in the mountains. They were traffickers who wanted to sell us.
plus news of the persecuted church from around the world. Indonesia. In an extraordinary scene, the parents of 3 murdered Christian schoolgirls have met with the militants accused of beheading their children and have publicly forgiven them. The families embrace the 3 Islamist extremists who've confessed to their daughter's murders, and they shook hands with them as a sign of peace. The 3 defendants expressed their deep sorrow, according to Asia News. Indonesia's Vice President has hailed the meeting as an opportunity to bring peace. Militants beheaded the 3 girls as they were walking to their Christian school in Poso. A 4th girl escaped but suffered serious machete wounds. The court heard that the machete attacks were plotted in the library of an Islamic school. Muslim and Christian leaders in Poso are meeting to discuss ways to rebuild peace in their troubled region. A South Korean aid worker has just been released after serving nearly 4 years in a Chinese jail for trying to help North Koreans flee their troubled country. Choi Yun-hung was arrested in 2003 for helping 30 North Koreans try to escape from China to South Korea by sea. There were emotional scenes as Choi was reunited with his wife and 2 daughters. Release International's partners, Helping Hands Korea, were there to greet him. They say he was rejoicing in the Lord as he embraced his family and spoke of torture at the hands of prison guards and fellow prisoners, mainly due to his Christian faith. China deals harshly with North Korean defectors and those who try to help them, often forcibly sending refugees back to their homeland to face imprisonment and possible execution. Even so, for thousands like Suk, it's worth risking everything to escape.
I escaped from North Korea 5 times and twice I was captured by traffickers. Once a man came to buy me, accompanied by his brothers and sisters. The sisters wanted to see if I could have children. They removed my clothes and examined me. They bought me and took me to their home. In the village, there were 3 other North Korean women. After a week, I managed to escape.
Christians are not allowed to have a Bible. They're not allowed to gather. And if it is revealed that a family is Christian, then not only the one who has committed this state crime would be taken off to a reform institution or a political prison camp, but that individual's children and their parents. So 3 generations. Some people say that it is possibly the most severe Christian persecution that exists in the world.
The story of the remarkable ministry to help North Korean refugees is out on PrayerWorks, a new Release International DVD. It's available from the Release International website. China now. The relatives of 3 church leaders executed without their families' knowledge have expressed their grief and anger at being kept in the dark. The 3 leaders of the controversial 3 Grades of Servants Church were executed in secret, even before the verdict from their appeal court hearing was given. They claimed in court their confessions had been extracted under torture, and the sister of one of the executed leaders has since been detained for exposing the torture her brother suffered. According to the Epoch Times, she too has been tortured to the point of mental breakdown. Australia. 2 Christian pastors have won an appeal against a court ruling they claim was an attack on freedom of speech and religious debate. Pastors Danny Scott and Danny Nalaya found themselves in court after staging a private seminar for Christians to discuss Islam. They were accused of vilifying Islam by Muslims who'd come to the seminar uninvited to gather evidence against them. The Court of Appeal has ordered a retrial and has overturned an order banning the pastors from speaking about Islam. It stopped short, however, of ruling that the law was unconstitutional. The pastors were charged under a new state law similar to the religious hatred bill proposed for the UK, which was defeated in Britain by just one vote. Pastor Danny Nalaya believes the UK had a narrow escape, as the law could have banned frank and open discussion on religion.
We paid a price, but how many nations are being saved through this? New Zealand? So in Australia, we have so many different states, South Australia, Western Australia, New South Wales, all they abolished the law, or they did not take the law into Parliament because of Victoria. Now the Victorian case was used so frequently in Parliament, in the British government, in the House of Lords in particular, in the House of Commons, and the Victorian case became a major catalyst in this law not getting through.
What would have happened had that law been passed in the UK in its original form?
Horrendous. I believe it would have been disastrous for the church, because if basically insult, ridicule, all this became a part of the police having rights to take someone to custody, it would have been worse than Victoria, because the case in Victoria, the law in Victoria is a civil offence. Here it's a criminal offence.
Pakistan. A 13-year-old Christian housemaid has had a baby daughter after being used as a sex slave by her Muslim employer. The girl was raped repeatedly from the moment she began work as a live-in maid, earning the equivalent of just 4 pence per day. Release International's partners in Pakistan say this appalling scenario is being played out repeatedly in a country where Christian women are denied basic human rights. Her attacker has now been arrested, but the chances of conviction look slim. Under Pakistan's Islamic law, a rape victim must produce 4 witnesses. However, the lower house of Parliament raised some hope for Christian women when it approved a bill allowing judges to choose between trying rape cases in an Islamic court or a secular criminal court. Pakistan's Islamic parties have threatened nationwide protests over the move. Vietnam. Release International is calling on the United States to rethink its decision to remove Vietnam from its religious freedom blacklist. As the World Trade Organization invited Vietnam into membership, a fact-finding team from Release International was in that country. It found that religious persecution is alive and flourishing, especially away from the cities and the international spotlight. Release heard about Moy, a Montagnard Christian who disappeared mysteriously one day and was found brutally murdered the next morning. Villagers said police had been harassing Moy because he'd refused to join a government-registered church. Hmong Christians in the northwest are among those suffering the worst persecution. When they've refused to renounce their faith, the authorities have forced them to destroy their own homes. We return now to China, where Release International has helped set up safe houses for North Korean refugees. Tim Peters runs Helping Hands Korea.
The real church is deeply underground. It is a secretive network. We don't really have an accurate idea of how many. Some people guess 200,000, maybe 400,000. My guess is that when the situation in North Korea finally comes fully to light, we're going to be very surprised that there are more secret believers than we ever imagined.
That's it from this edition. We're delighted to say World Update has just won a CBC award in the category Best New Media Production. For in-depth features on the persecuted church, why not subscribe to Witness magazine, available free of charge from the Release International website. And for breaking stories, sign on for our new weekly podcast. 3 minutes of the latest news delivered to your desktop each week. Goodbye and God bless.